Hey, man.
Happy to be here. What's going on?
Oh, my gosh. Have you ever heard of Roswell?
Roswell?
Yeah.
Like he was the president during World War II, and his brother Teddy was the president before. Well, they were related, right? Teddy Roswell?
D. Roswell.
Franklin D. Roswell?
Yeah, they did that. They did that, but then
they also did some alien spooky
they
stuff.
also did some alien stuff.
Is it New Mexico or Arizona?
Yeah, Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay.
Roswell, New Mexico.
Roswell. Oh, no. Okay. Well, it's going to be bad. Let's do it. Okay.
Okay, so...
You can see, if you go back and watch what just happened, he said Roswell. I knew what we were talking about. And you can see my face go, oh, no. And I was like, trying to keep it light and trying to, maybe he's going to change up on me. Maybe he's going to, this is a distraction, He's going to actually do something. No, it's an alien one. Okay.
Yeah, it's Roswell, the actual Roswell UFO.
It's the most, why, I will know now, but I don't understand why it's the most famous alien thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the foundation of like the UFO phenomena. Like I think this is the foundational event. There was a couple things before this.
Okay.
Like, there was like...
Is this also maybe just beefed up because it's on Route 66, right?
There's probably a good part.
Is it on Route 66?
I don't know. Let's see.
And so like they just made it like roadside attraction kind of stuff. Like, see this giant alien,
I'm sure.
Paper mache.
Yeah. I mean, that is definitely a thing. Like,
yeah. It became like a tourist attraction type thing. So maybe that's what, I don't know. We'll find out. You're gonna tell me.
It doesn't look like it's right on Route 66, but it does seem like it's close to Route 66.
So
you could like detour.
Yeah. It'd be too convenient if it was on 66.
Yeah, that's true. Then
yeah,
obvious.
People wouldn't have believed it. Vibe I give off. Does it seem like I don't want to be places? Because I'm having a good time. I'm generally having a good time. I enjoy doing stuff. I love being around my friends. I like being here at the podcast. This is a really good time that I'm having right now.
Yeah, I believe you. Open! Somebody open the casket!
Things I learned last night.
Here's the story.
Okay.
On late June 1947,
Okay.
a rancher by the name of W.W. Mac Brazel. Cool name.
Mac Brazel.
Mac Brazel.
Yeah.
He's got a ranch in just outside Roswell, New Mexico. And he finds this 200-yard just field of strange debris. He describes it
200 yards
like,
is big.
Yeah. He describes it as like tinfoil and rubber strips and paper and wooden sticks, like weird stuff.
Okay.
But that's like, it's like, it wasn't quite tinfoil, but that's the closest thing I can describe it to,
Uh-huh. And paper and sticks?
Yeah, that's what he describes it as.
Were the aliens just flying the Wright brothers plane? What are you talking about? Like, this is freaking, okay.
And so...
Yeah, just papers and sticks, and this has got to be aliens, man.
He sees all this junk on his land.
Okay.
He's like, this is weird. And he's like, well, I have been needing to build this dam. And so he's like, so I'll grab some of the sticks and see if I could dam up the little creek. It didn't work. And then he kind of just forgets about it. He's like, got a big ranch. He's got things to do. He's like, this is weird, but whatever. Who cares?
Got a big enough ranch that there's like 200 yards of it that's just debris from something. That you're like, and then you're like working and you go, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I can use that to make this dam.
No, I'm just thinking like a month later
creek.
you go, what was all that stuff? Where'd that come from?
Well, no, July 2nd, so a few days later, about a week. I don't know exactly when he finds it. I know it's late June he finds this debris field. And then July 2nd, there's this big thunderstorm that hits the area, like super severe thunderstorm.
Okay.
And what happens during this thunderstorm is there becomes this kind of like local legend that forms out of this thunderstorm. And so everybody in town is talking about how they saw these like lights pulsating in the sky during the thunderstorm.
Lightning.
Not lightning.
Oh, it's crazy.
Different than lightning.
Okay.
They're like, there was lightning, but then there was like lights in there too.
Uh-huh.
There was like lights lighting
okay.
in the sky with the lightning. And so Brazel is hearing all these stories in town.
And he's just a farmer.
He's a rancher.
Okay.
Yeah. And
what's the difference? Yeah, well, you
know
just corrected me Tell me the difference.
Farmers raise crops, ranchers raise livestock.
I don't like how quick he knew that. I kind of thought it was going to stump him, and instead he nailed it. Bummer for me. Yeah, do farmers do crops? And I guess yeah. So is there a ranching simulator? All right. Well, never mind then.
So there's an expansion pack for ranching.
Okay. That's crazy. For $69, you can have some cows.
Also be a rancher. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
most of people do both though, don't they?
I don't know. I think it does. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why. Anyways, so July 6th, he's like, you know what? I keep hearing about these lights in the sky. I have all this junk in my yard. And he's like, maybe I should like report this. So he calls the sheriff and he's like, hey, I don't know. It could be nothing, but I mean, there's something in my land. And he's like, I keep hearing about all this stuff happening in the sky. Like something crashed. You want to come look at it? And the sheriff comes and looks at it. And the sheriff's like, oh, this is definitely something. So the sheriff calls. There's a local,
but also a storm has now come through. It's kind of blown that debris around.
Yeah, so it's spread out now. And
okay.
It's still there, but it's like spread out.
Sure.
Hold on, let me get the name of this.
And is this just debris, or is that like the dirt's kind of like something landed here?
Yeah. Well, it's a debris path. So it definitely is like it like crashed and spread out along the trajectory.
Okay.
Just outside Roswell, there is the Roswell Army Airfield. And so the sheriff says, I'm going to call the Army Airfield and have them come check this out.
Okay.
This seems like something that they should deal with. And so he calls them and they send out this guy. Here, I'll show you. This is a guy by the name of Major Jesse Marcel.
Okay.
And Jesse Marcel is...
It's a black and white photo for the listeners, and his eyes are pretty sunken in. He looks a little alien-y.
Yeah.
Is this what the military caps, like, they don't look like that anymore?
I don't
That emblem up there?
Yeah, I don't think so.
That looks very World War II-y.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they do that anymore. Because this was pre like the Army splitting out into Navy, Air Force, and things like this.
Oh,
so all the Army was one thing.
Yeah.
And so he was actually a part of the 500.
And if you think about it, they haven't won a world war since. All right, we need a unified.
We need to unify the military.
Oh, we split into 5 branches. We haven't won,
Marcel is significant, and really this whole airfield is significant because it's the home of the 509th Division.
Okay.
And the 509th, I think they're called the 509th Composite Group. And this is the group where at this time...
Composite Group?
Yeah. They are...
Yeah, dude, I was playing pickleball the other day with my Composite Group.
They are the only...
Is there a lot to get to in this episode? It just doesn't seem like you want to chat.
What are you talking about?
I go, Composite Group. So they are the... I was like, okay. All right.
I mean, do you want to talk about pickleball?
No, I'm just over here. I'm just over here.
You want to talk about how these old people
I'm like, what's the difference between farmers and ranchers? And you're like, I don't really know the difference. So there's a field and there's like a lot of stuff. No, you didn't. You didn't know the difference, and that's important to remember. So, okay, so there's 509th. So there's 500 and at least...
I don't know if you noticed this, but on the way in, they're clearly setting up for a funeral outside. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. I did see that.
This back edge of our wall
is the auditorium?
To where, so there's a funeral potentially happening right on this wall right now.
Oh, I actually thought we had more space. No, we got more space. No.
No, I can show you exactly where our wall is.
You know how we should? Let's punch a hole through it. Let's punch a hole through the wall. Let's push 2 holes, punch 2 holes, and then stick
our hands through. It's like at the...
Sorry for your loss.
At the Renaissance Fair, we stick our heads through the wall. You know what
like the stocks. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Didn't know you were
Speaking of the Ren Fair. Okay, see, now you want to chat, okay? Speaking of the Ren Fair, all of my friends think I'm a jerk, I think. Have I told this before? Because like...
I don't know if you have on the podcast. I know
last year they were like, hey, you want to go to the Ren Fair? And I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. I'd never been, And my wife just goes, yeah, it's probably not Jaren's thing, but he'll go. And I was like, all right. And then all of my...
Which is strange because you were like, you're RuneScape.
And a theater kid.
Yeah, like this is like your vibe, probably.
That's the thing. I'm accepting. I don't want to be part of it. I'm not like, You
You're
know,
affirming, but you're
there,
not.
there are a lot of levels to how people experience the Ren Fair.
Yeah. It's true.
And it's not. It's not like I'm not a person who's going to put on the elf ears and like fully immerse myself in this. But some people do, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We were leaving the Ren Fair. We had a good time. And then we're in the car, and all my friends were like, all right, Jaron, what'd you think? And I was like, yeah, it was fun. They were, no, tell us what you really thought. And I was like, I had a good time. They're like, it's safe now. You're in the car. You can tell us what you thought. And I was like, actually, you know what? Now I hate the Ren Fair just for that. Because it's not inclusive, apparently. It's inclusive of all the weird stuff.
Yep.
All right. But I'm not allowed to stand in the corner and go, this is a little weird.
This is a little weird.
That's where they draw the line.
Yeah, you don't let me say, oh, this is a little weird.
Yeah. I don't say it out loud. I'm not like looking at people being like, this is a little weird that you're doing that. No. I'm there. This is their thing. Have fun. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I'll go. We'll have a giant turkey leg and walk around. It's a big craft fair. It's fun. You know? Mm-hmm. But they think I hate it.
Well, you did.
I did.
Based on the words you're saying, it sounds like you hated it.
No. I just didn't immerse myself in it. It's like paintball's not my thing.
Yeah.
I actually don't want to do paintball at all. I actually do. Actually, you know what? I judge people who do paintball. Yeah, I have actually. And I was scared the whole time. I was just walking around like this. I was like, please don't, no one hit me with the paintball. Please. I don't want to get bruised by the paintball. Yeah. And so like, I'm just sitting there. I felt like I was at war, you know? Yeah. And I was like, where's my composite group? And so yeah, we were called the composite paintings. It was really great.
I was kind of a tool with paintball in high school.
That makes sense to me.
I wore like a vest and that was it. And so I just had like open chest. And I remember one time.
Were you a tool or a fool? I feel like you were the one in the friend group that they were like, yeah, dude, Tim loves this stuff. And they all show up with the gear and everything. And you're out here like, you got some eye black on and a vest. And you're like, let's go, guys. And
I had a vest.
They let you run into the woods and then they're like, let's all just get them.
I had a vest. Hold on. Let me tell you.
You were just the target.
I had a vest, obviously sleeveless, and then the back had this big full back size like patch on it. I can't believe I've never told you this. Had a full size, literally this patch.
I feel like at the end of the story we're gonna find out why you never told me this.
This is my entire back was this patch, and in the patch, it was from this hardcore band, but I thought it was so sick because the whole thing was like the view of like a sniper scope, and in the crosshairs was the devil.
Heck yeah, dude.
And I would wear this to paintball.
Dude.
And then, one time we were playing, I can't remember if it was like Capture the Flag or, it was Capture the Flag. Well,
so the 509th Composite Group, there's a lot of debris in the field. And so like they send out Marcel and he goes, you see, that's what you were like earlier.
It was Capture the Flag.
Yeah.
And I was the last person left. And they call it, there's this really cool place in Sedalia, Colorado. And is that right? Sedalia?
I'm sure it matters a lot.
But they had like 2 huge forts and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I was the last person left. And then they call it, they're like 30 seconds remaining. And so like whoever has the flag at the end wins. And so I see it in the middle. I haven't seen anyone for like minutes. I don't know where any of the hostiles are. And so I climbed down from the fort.
They were waiting. They were camping.
I climbed down from the fort. I run, and I'm like, I gotta freaking zoom. And so like full sprint across no man's land.
And keep in mind, this is a JV football player, by the way. So like the speed was pretty incredible.
Vest flowing in the wind.
This is a senior JV player, dude. His conditioning was it was crazy.
And I jump into they had these like trenches, and they were deep, probably like 4 or 5 foot deep trenches in the middle. And the flag was in the middle of that trench. And so I run and I jump in that trench, and there was a guy just laying in there, and he just lit me up to all the way from like just like straight in that gap in my vest.
And that guy kind of sucks, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Hurt. Like, the reason I don't like paintball, the reason I don't like the Ren Fair, I do like the Ren Fair, but the reason I don't like some of this stuff is that there's always a couple people who are just bad about it, you know?
Well, I was the person who was bad about it, and he lit me up.
There's just people who are bad about it. I'm bad about the Ren Fair. No, I liked it. Well, anyway, so the group chat has started for this year's Ren Fair, where they added me in. Like, I got added to the group chat. Like, my wife added me to it. And she's like, "Hey, I'm just adding Jared so that we can coordinate the dates." And Joy responded and said, "Oh, I didn't know if he was going to want to go or not."
The group chat's named Jaren doesn't want to be here.
Jaren doesn't want to be here. I gotta make a Ren Fair style shirt that says "Happy to be here."
I'm happy to be here.
Is that the vibe I give off? Does it seem like I don't want to be places? Because I'm having a good. I'm having a good time. I enjoy doing stuff. I love being around my friends. I like being here at the podcast. This is a really good time that I'm having right now.
Yeah, I believe you.
Somebody on the other side of this wall is just.
I'm happy to be here.
I love being here right now. And then there's some guy over there like, it's the
dead guy talking.
Are they talking? Open it up.
Open. Somebody open the casket.
I dare you to yell. I dare you to yell. Please let me out.
Just like up against the wall.
Don't write that down. It's staying in. Hey, we signed a lease. They knew who we were. Let me out.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
Okay, so.
Oh yeah, so he was a part of the 509th Composite Division.
I'm gonna make a Ren Fair style shirt that says. I keep saying I'm gonna make some merch designs, and then Tim keeps texting me like, "Hey, you mentioned this in this episode. Are you gonna design that? We're gonna release a drop for the spring. Keep an eye out on the socials for it. When I have time to do that.
So, the what did I say they were called? The 509th?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
yes.
509th.
Yeah.
The 509th Composite Division was the only nuclear-capable air division in the world at the time. So this
must have been the one that. Well, I guess nuke and atomic are different. I guess.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
It was the Nagasaki division.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm saying.
And I don't know if Marcel was there, but we do know he was in the division at the time, so he probably was on one of those planes.
Sure.
Hey, thanks for watching our show. If you like it, a great way to help out is by being a Patreon supporter. Doing that helps make this show possible, but it also gets a lot of perks for you. You can get every episode a week early, ad-free. You get access to a Discord where you can meet a lot of other people who love the show and actually hang out with Jaren and I every month on a hangout. And we're also in that Discord chat all the time, talking with people, talking about episodes and just random stuff in life. It's super fun. There's a way to get birthday messages, a free gift, merch discounts in there. So there's a lot of really great reasons to be a Patreon supporter. You get a lot of benefits out of it. And it also makes the show keep happening. So if that sounds great to you, you can go to support.tilln.com or tilln.com/support, or just tilln.com and search around until you find the links and become a Patreon supporter. We really appreciate you doing that. But if not, right back to the episode, right? And so they get dispatched. And so he comes to check out what they have there. And he sees it. And he says, "Oh, this is kind of crazy." And so they show up. What is this? July 7th. So now we're
like 2 weeks after.
Yeah. And so
this is 2-week-old debris.
Him, Major Jesse Marcel, and then another counterintelligence agent show up, look at the stuff, package a bunch of it up in boxes, and then they leave to go back to base.
Okay.
On the way back from base, Major Jesse Marcel does something he's never done before. And he swings by the house. And he gets home and he
says... By his house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He gets home and he tells his wife...
Are you out of breath just from telling your paintball story?
I'm out of breath from just like the stress of the day.
So he gets home. And...
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I need to get fit again.
Yeah, dude.
We've
all been trying to tell you. I'm mad. Listen, I know we're interjecting the story again. Chill out, podcast listener. But I'm mad that my comedy special, I'm filming it this weekend. By the time this episode comes out, it's been done.
Yeah.
And for the January filming, Christmas has happened. I had tried to get I had like a month. I tried to get a little bit more fit for the taping. And then since it got pushed to March, now it's been my birthday and my wife's birthday in between this taping. You know how hard it is when people, for your birthday, people just give you sweets
stuff.
and they get, and especially my wife got like 7 different cookie cakes and stuff. And I'm just over here like, people are like, oh, if you're fat, just eat less. I wish I would have thought of that, because like I can't.
Yeah.
There's a reason that Dave Ramsey makes people cut their credit cards. Because like you can't.
You need to cut your birthday cake.
I do. I cut it and I keep eating it. I cut a piece off and I eat it. I cut a piece off and I eat it. So, but at least I'm not out of breath.
Yeah, I need to start being healthy again. Yeah. I have been trying to eat a little bit better. It's a slow progression.
I have Tim's location, and I'll watch him go to this place called Sliders quite a bit.
It's so good.
And
Holy crap. I actually did tell Bree the other day. It's ironic you bring this up, but the other day I was like, man, I love sliders, but I gotta stop eating it. It freaking wrecks me every time I eat it. But I will say, that guy who came up with, here's the thing about sliders. They make sliders, like the burger sliders, but they give you queso to dip the sliders in. And I told her the other day, I was like,
Alex's face is just like he can't even comprehend. Because Alex, just so y'all know, every time Alex goes with us anywhere, he always orders like because I took him to 54th Street one time.
He orders a salad and they say, we don't do that here. And then he says, I'll tell you how.
And he goes, yeah. He goes, that's okay. I brought my own. And he brings out a little bag of romaine lettuce that he carries around with him. No, he orders like the Power Bowl from 54th. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, just eat the chips and queso. And he's like, no. He has willpower.
Yeah. He's going to live.
He's literally over here.
30 years
Tim's telling a story
me.
about dipping sliders in queso. And I need you can't see Alex's face, but it was genuine fear. Alex was like, that, you shouldn't do that. And me and Tim were like, that's really good.
I told Bree the other day, I was like, yeah, honestly, I feel like death every time I eat it.
It's not the same people who made sliders in Springfield, is it?
No.
You remember that place?
Yeah, that place was also really good.
Great.
But yeah, whoever came up with let's dip burgers in queso, I think that guy should be president because that is,
I think he is
revolution.
Okay. So the 509th Composite Group. So he swings by his house.
Yeah, he swings by his house, sees his wife, who, I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea how to pronounce her name. Her name is Viaud.
Viaud, dude?
Viaud?
I don't think it's Viaud.
Viad? I think Viaud is the only way that makes sense.
Viaud. So
anyways, Jesse Marcel walks in and he says, Viaud, go get Jesse. His son's also named Jesse. And he's like, I got to show him something.
Jesse Jr.
So he shows Jesse. He's like, look at all this alien spacecraft stuff.
And his kid goes, and he goes, yes, Jesse Jr.
You get it.
Well, I don't know, dude. His wife's name is Viaud. That's not a human name, dude. That's an alien name.
That's a good point, actually. That's a really good point.
So he shows it to takes it home to his kid, and his kid is sitting in his room just like, yes. Oh. It is. That of our planet. What do you like? Okay.
Yeah. So he shows him, and he's like,
he wakes him up
from the UFO.
Wakes him up and goes, hey, wake up.
Wake up. You gotta see this.
Here, light this cigarette. I gotta show you some stuff from a different planet.
I gotta show you some stuff from the war.
I gotta show you some stuff from the world.
We're about to have another war. I think this one's gonna be bigger.
It's gonna be so big we have to split the military into 5 different branches and one day 6. But it doesn't really matter.
But the 6th one's
one really, not a single person is like, yeah, dude, the 6th branch.
And so he shows the son.
My buddy Ryan Tricky has a really funny bit about that. If you here's some comics to watch. I can tell you. I'll tell you 2 people's jokes on their behalf. Ryan Tricky has a really funny bit. He's a really great friend of mine. He's from Kansas City comic. He was on They Don't Bite. If anyone listened to the They Don't Bite podcast,
I actually watched that the other day.
Did you really?
I mean, not the whole thing, but like I was looking for something. I don't know how it happened, but I saw that and I was like, oh, this isn't what I expected. I clicked on, but here it is.
Yeah. And so he has a really funny bit about being at the gas station. He let a soldier in front of him. And he goes, which branch do you serve in? And the guy was like, oh, I'm in the Space Force. And he's like, okay, I'm going to cut back in. It's a really good bit. I love it so much. And then also Matt Kirshen, who is a UK comic. He lives in LA. Like, he's who I play pickleball with.
He lives in LA?
He lives in LA.
But he's a UK comic.
He's
So
cool.
he's an LA comic.
So he sounds like this, is what I mean. You know? He's like, oh, very good, jolly. He says weird stuff like that. But he has a really funny bit about the Ren Fair.
Oh, yeah.
About how he can't go to the Ren Fair because people think he's in character the whole time. he's like,
no, this is just
where's the restroom? And they're like, oh, over here, good jolly sir. And he's like, no, I'm just trying to find. And he's like, no. It's really funny.
That's pretty funny.
So good 2 comics to follow: Ryan Trickey and Matt Kirshen.
So he shows Jesse, his son, all this stuff. And so allegedly what he shows him is there's this metal that is described like tinfoil, but it's like memory. And so he's like, I can crumple it up into a ball and then it just crumple back out, like flatten back out into that perfect shape it was in. Like nothing happened.
Okay.
And so it's like really flexible, but it wouldn't stay in that position. And then there was like what he described as little I-beams. And the I-beams had purple hieroglyphs on them. Which I actually do have. I think I have a picture of it. Yeah, here's a picture of one of these little I-beams with like purple hieroglyphs on it.
Oh.
They're small little tiny I-beams.
That's real?
I-beams. Yeah.
That's a real picture.
Yes, it is.
And is this in front of a leaf? What is this? Is this a size? It's a very blurry photo.
It's somebody holding it. So this is zoomed in on a picture of somebody holding it like this.
I mean, I can see the picture. I'm saying you see where it's laying up. Is it a tablecloth maybe or something?
I think it's his chest. I think he's holding it like this for the camera.
Oh, okay. So for audio listener, it does look like a 6-inch ruler. You know, is it metal and it has little? You would describe those as hieroglyphics. It's got letters, characters, potentially potentially a word.
Yeah, and they're purple. Obviously, this is black and white, so we don't see the purple. But this is purple.
But those are purple. One of my skills is being able to look at a black and white photo and tell you what the color is.
Yeah, that's why they hired me to do the colorization of stuff because I just know. I just know by looking at black and white. Yeah, that's green.
Green.
He gets paid a lot to do that.
Yeah.
So
I don't actually do the recolorization of it. I just
say the color, and then somebody else does the color.
It's like I have this crazy ability to look at celebrities in makeup, and I can tell who they are. I'm a super recognizer.
Super recognizer. I stand over the guy's shoulder, I'm like, green. No, not that green. Lighter.
A little lighter.
Too light. Too light. No. Now that I think about it, I think it should be blue.
Yeah, change my name to Hugh. So it is like an actual object.
Yeah.
It's like in the debris.
Yeah. And he shows his son. His son sees it and he's like, I gotta go back to the army. So I just wanted you to see this. Because I think this is a big deal.
Okay.
So he goes back to the base and he shows everyone at the base.
And his son tells everyone at school.
Yeah. His son's like, I gotta tell everybody about this.
Yeah.
And
that's what kids do, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, true. And so he gets
the stuff that my wife's students will say to her. First of all, if you got secrets, don't send your kid to a school. That's what I think. Homeschoolers are just trying to keep their family secrets safe. Because your kid will go to school and tell your dirty laundry to everybody.
Yeah. So he goes back to the base.
Yeah.
He brings all this stuff and he shows everyone at the base. And they're
like, we're the first people to see this, right? He goes, yes. I haven't shown anyone else. How old is son?
Like 11, I think, at the time. He's old enough to know what he's looking at.
Okay.
He's old enough to know that this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And so at the Roswell Army Airfield, their public information officer sees this and he's like, we need to put out a statement. And he goes to the colonel and he talks to the colonel and the colonel clears him to put out a statement. And so they put a statement out to the press. And within the hour, the press is like putting out papers that say this.
Captures flying saucer. Oh, okay. So yeah, the press was just like, let's run with it.
Yeah. And so by that evening.
This is the Roswell Daily Record.
Yeah.
Okay.
So by that evening, not just in Roswell, but across the world, this has hit the wire and this is everywhere. Aliens crashed in Roswell.
I'm looking at the other headlines real quick. House passes tax slash by large margin. Defeat amendment by demos to remove many from roles. Is demos Democrats?
I'm assuming, yeah.
We should go back to calling them that. That's fun. Demos. Okay.
And so
no details of go back to this. No details of flying disc are revealed. So they're already running with this is a flying saucer and there's a flying disc.
Well, this is what they say. The Roswell Army Airfield, they put out a statement that literally says alien flying disc is recovered outside of Roswell.
Was that a real paper or was that like a tablet?
That is a real paper. And it went to real papers across the world. The entire globe was reporting on this by that evening. And so then that night, that airfield gets a call from higher ups in Fort Worth, Texas, and was like, you need to fly down to Texas right now.
Okay.
So they do. They fly down to Texas, they bring the stuff, and they show this colonel, and they look at it, and they come out and they put out a correction, and they say, oh no, it wasn't a flying saucer, it's actually a weather balloon. And they send out these photographs that they take. And so this is Marcel, and then this is Marcel.
Holding a torn up weather balloon.
Yeah, and this is Marcel with, I think this guy's, I don't know if he's a general or a colonel, but his last name is, hold on, let me make sure I'm getting that. Ramy, R-A-M-E-Y, Ramy, General Ramy.
Okay.
And so they're holding up the wreckage. And so these are the pieces of the craft that they've got.
Okay. And smiling and laughing.
Yeah, just kind of chit-chatting. And
suspicious.
And they put this out and publicize this, and they say, hey, this was not
and
a UFO.
This is a black and white photo, but his jumpsuit is orange, I can tell you.
Yeah, that does look orange. He's a prisoner. Also, somebody shot up the room they're in on that.
Yeah, what is that? Just messed up the photo? It's got to be. Yeah, go back to the other picture. Yeah, the holes aren't there. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you like the show, you want to support us, we've got merchandise that you can get, and it's good stylish stuff that I made. I put a lot of work into this stuff, so it's great to find other TILLN fans in the wild and be like, wait a minute, I know that shirt. And so, we would love for you to do that. You can pop over to shop.tilln.com, or there's a QR code, or there's a link in the description. There's plenty of ways to find it. We promise we made it super easy. So thanks for supporting the show, and thanks for listening.
So they publicize this. They say, oh, hey, sorry, our mistake. Not a flying saucer, not aliens. This is actually just a weather balloon.
Yeah, which of course screams cover up.
And this wire goes out 4 hours after they sent the first wire out. So it's like they sent that wire out. Fort Worth heard about this, and the general's like, get over here right now. They flew to Fort Worth, and then they took these photos and sent out a new wire. And they were like, we got to correct this immediately.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, of course, this does scream cover up.
Right.
And what's interesting about this, this whole thing happens. The press hears about this. The press issues a correction, and this story dies for 30 years. This is just gone from the zeitgeist. And what's really interesting is I think there's something to say. This is the late 40s when people still trusted the government.
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh, they said it was aliens. It's aliens. And then like, oh, they said, sorry, we were wrong. It's not aliens. It's not aliens. And then it's just kind of the end of it.
Okay.
And, like, they just believe them.
I mean, to be fair, they had just won World War II. There was no real, reason not to, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this is before basically every political scandal that's ever happened.
And also, the correction sounds a lot more
believable.
Yeah. The first news press is kind of like, really?
Yeah.
And then they come out and they go, here's what it was. And they go,
here's what it was.
Oh.
Well, to be fair, 2 weeks before, I don't know if it's 2 weeks, it might have been 2 months, recently, before this wire went out, was the event that actually coined the term flying saucer. There was a sighting over Mount Rainier in Washington.
Yeah.
And a pilot said he saw this while he was coming in for a landing in Seattle.
Sure.
And he saw what he described like a flying disc. And the reporter was like, we're going to call it flying saucer. That runs better. And so that's where the name flying saucer came from. Was literally a couple weeks
we did a
that.
whole episode about the weather balloon kid.
Yeah.
And that looks like an alien craft.
Yeah, if you see that floating through.
If you see that weather balloon, it looks
like
a saucer.
For sure, yeah.
What year was Project Bluebeam?
Project Bluebeam is like now. Like Blue Book?
No.
Project Blue Beam.
Blue Beam.
Yeah, Blue Beam's happening.
Well, when were they flying stuff in Antarctica? Wasn't that during World War II?
Oh, that was what was that called?
Because Germany was down there doing stuff.
Yeah, Germany was doing that. That wasn't Blue Beam. That was, what was that called?
I thought that was Project Blue Beam.
Blue Beam is where they're going to make Jesus return in the sky with
Oh, okay.
stuff. I can't remember what the Antarctica was called, but yeah, that was
fairly certain
during
that it was
World War II.
part of that story that we did.
I mean, I'd have to look it up to know for sure.
Sure.
But this whole there was a lot of the conspiracy theories about UFO world started in this era, but they weren't in the public yet. If that makes sense. So like they go back, and this was silent for 30 years until 30 years later, Marcel retires. He's an old man. Yeah, he's an old man. He retires, and he starts talking to an author about it. And he's like, that whole thing was a cover up. He's like, they flew me out after this thing came out, and they said, you're going to take these pictures, and they brought out new rubble. And he's like, this was not the stuff that we brought them. They took the stuff we brought them, they took it away. They took the stuff that we brought away, they brought this stuff out, and they said, we're going to pose with this stuff. And he's like, but that's not the stuff. And they're like, yeah, well, we can't let the
But that's not the stuff.
That's not the rubble. And so they made us pose with this.
Okay.
And so the author publishes that, and then it becomes this big storyline. The author does some work to go out to all the other people in Roswell, and he talks to all the other people who live there, the rancher. And what's interesting is the storyline is a lot more fantastic now.
Right.
In 30 years' time have passed. And so what the storyline becomes is now this debris field, according to the rancher, was not 200 yards, but was 2 miles of debris of something crashed and ran all the way along this. And the people in the town say like, oh yeah, we saw in the sky, like we saw this thing coming down to crash during the storm. And so it crashed during the storm, and everybody in town saw it crash, and he went out after the storm to find it.
Right.
And there was bodies. There's little bodies of little charred men. Tiny, like charred. They look like children, they said.
Sure. But this is also after other conspiracies have so now they're merging their memories with this. Yeah.
So there's 30 years of like memories.
Right.
And there's someone he interviews who says that there's a local mortician who says that, he was contracted by the Air Force or I guess the Army, to make small coffins for them. And he's like, so I had to make these tiny coffins for the aliens. And then he said that he spoke with the nurse.
Okay.
And the nurse said, they had to do autopsies on these alien bodies. And so it turns into this whole story. And the weather balloon thing is now viewed as a cover up.
Sure.
And so in the 70s, this gets traction. And I do think in the 70s there was other conspiracies that had come out.
Right.
And then Roswell was like, oh, this is the big proof. This was the cover up. They acknowledged it and then immediately retracted it. What is interesting is over the course of this runs through the 70s through the 80s, and you have a lot of amateur researchers trying to see if they can figure stuff out. One of the things that's interesting about this is in this photo, you can see General Ramy standing there, and he's holding a letter.
But in the original one, he wasn't.
Well,
the other one you showed.
Yeah, he is in this one. This is
oh,
the
okay,
same
okay.
photo.
It's just darker.
Yeah. And so with like modern technology, people have
modern technology.
Zoom
in, enhance.
Yeah, they've enhanced this. They've
zoomed in, I bet.
I
bet they did. Oh yeah, I bet. This looks exactly like what it is, huh?
And so they flipped this over so you can see it. I don't know if you can read this. I can't. But allegedly,
base are here at the.
What has happened is they've examined the negatives and they tried to interpret what this is. And according to the expert researchers who understand these type of techniques, there are some who say they see the phrase "victims of the wreck" in this letter. I have no idea where you can see this. Other experts have said we don't see this at all. There's no phrase "victims of the wreck" in here at all. So
I would guess it's this, top line or second line, I guess, because like you start at the top over here. Base are here. I think here is pretty clear at this part, victims of the wreck. Because I can see
maybe
CK.
you could. Maybe you could.
But that's like, this is dumb.
Yeah, you can't really decipher this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. but I
but I can't because what color is it?
Black and white is ink. Pretty easy. Wrote it in pen. It looks like just a black ballpoint pen.
What color is this image? This black and white image? It's black and white.
Black and white. So pretty easy.
And so this becomes like the story, and you're right. The town turns into alien town.
Right.
They ham it up. I don't know if I would say make a lot of money, but it becomes a source
I feel like
of
it's one of those things where it's like, this is an opportunity to make this a tourist attraction.
Yeah, our town is now alien town.
Sure,
and it still is. But in the 90s, the Air Force comes out, and the Air Force says, hey, guys, we know how this all happened. Like,
okay.
It wasn't the UFOs, and it technically wasn't really a weather balloon either. It was something else. This was a part of a secret, now declassified project known as Project Mogul that was going on at the same time. And what Project Mogul is it was this array of high altitude balloons that the Army had essentially just suspended in the airspace above the United States.
Okay.
And dangling from these balloons was microphones, incredibly low frequency microphones. And the idea was,
for those listening, this looks like it's like a balloon with a big string.
It looks like a kite tail.
It looks like a kite tail, but all the things on it look like the
like when you'd be like,
what do you call that thing? Yeah, where it's like you get the 4 points, you put your thumbs in it, and it's like the game you play when you're a kid. You fold the paper up and you do the whole burp, 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 burp. Yeah, I don't think me doing that helps the audio listener. Burp, 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 burp.
If you've ever seen Community, it's the thing in the intro on Community. In the
sure, the little paper game where you fold it up and put your thumbs inside.
I don't know what it's called either.
Yeah, but it looks like several of those along the string.
But this is a huge array because this is a series of balloons and a series of these almost like kite tails hanging from it with the microphones. But these are 600-foot long arrays that are floating up in high altitude.
Oh my gosh.
And so these are massive balloons.
Huge balloon.
Floating in high altitude with these array of microphones. And the purpose of them was they were flying high enough altitude, capturing low enough frequency, and with an array over the United States that if the Soviets successfully tested an atom bomb, it would pick up the explosion, the sound wave. And so this was their way of making sure we know and they have a successful test.
Okay.
And they obviously didn't want the Soviets to know about this.
Sure.
And this crash was one of these, crashing in Roswell, New Mexico. And they have record of it.
Right.
Because they had launched one 2 days before the crash.
Oh, they did?
They launched one 2 days before the crash.
Okay.
And that's why the Air Force showed up so quickly.
But what's the thing?
Well, here's what's interesting. This was shortly after the war. And so resources nationwide were a little slim. And so they subcontracted the manufacture of certain elements of this balloon array. And for part of the subcontracting, they hired a toy company out of New York. And this toy company, again, they didn't have as many supplies as they normally work with.
Uh-huh.
And so they used pieces of old balsa wood to connect this array together. And so this is actually a balsa wood I-beam. And they needed to make these reflective, so they would not be picked up by radar. And so they had this reflective tape that they used for toys that they put on there. And the reflective tape had purple floral designs on it.
Okay.
And so when this crashed, the crash happened days before it was found by the farmer or the rancher. And then, of course, there was that storm.
And the little animals crawled up and etched those little letters into it.
They're like, this is going to confuse the humans.
They love that, by the way.
They always love confusing humans. It's their favorite thing. And so the storm comes, and what happens is in the New Mexico heat, after getting wet, the tape actually loses its sticky residue or whatever was sticking it to the balsa wood, falls off, whatever, melts away. And that purple flower print that was on it had leaked through and stained the wood. But it's floral print and it's weird designs, but not all of it's leaked through.
Oh, okay.
So the purple print is that floral print, but just partial pieces of floral prints
leaking
through onto the boss.
That's a very elaborate story to make up to no, it's like, look, it's like, you can see how it's flower print, right? Huh. Maybe I'm starting to be the conspiracy theorist over here.
And they said, and here's the deal. All the alien body stuff, this is actually, well, they use this term, what do they call it? Suggestive memory or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they're like, what's happening here is they're kind of merging together a few other things that happened, because later in the 50s, there was another test in Roswell where they were testing parachutes. And so they put a bunch of crash test dummies, attached them to parachutes, and lifted them up with balloons to high altitude and dropped them in the desert in Roswell. And so these bodies just fell, because obviously not all.
Could you imagine how traumatizing that would be?
You're out picking some corn
because you're a farmer,
yeah,
and you're and then just
and then like immediately this black SUV rolls up, picks his body up and throws it in the trunk and speeds
and
off.
And even goes,
if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. You're like, I guess I can't tell anybody about that.
I guess I'll keep my mouth shut. I didn't see anything. I'm just a lowly farmer.
See anything. Hand picking corn.
Hand picking corn. 60s. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
And shortly after that, there was another event where there was another military plane coming in for landing at the airfield that crashed. And it was this horrific event. Massive flames. Everybody on board died.
Okay.
In the news, the way they described it is the reporter said it was like looking at little charred bodies all over the field.
Oh.
And so the Air Force says...
Which is a pretty gruesome detail to include in your report, but okay.
Yeah, crazy. And so the Air Force's statement is, in terms of the bodies that people are talking about, it is the memory of these events being kind of conglomerated and attached to Roswell. Attached to the original UFO incident. But it's not. They weren't the same thing.
Yeah, they have an explanation for everything.
But here's what I think, though. I think this event is what made the Army be like, hey, actually, this is really useful to us. Because I think it was the Project Mogul. I believe that it was that array that was listening for Soviet bombs. And I think they realized, they're like, oh, that cover-up was way better than our cover-up. Like
What cover-up?
Oh, that it's aliens. They're like, oh, they believe the aliens way faster than anyone was going to believe the weather balloon thing. And they were like, I think that the Army was like, let's just freaking use that. And so I have no way of...
So now you're fully on the other side of all the conspiracy theories you've brought into this podcast. You've fully gone the other way. I've been like, yeah, I just got psyoped, actually.
I do think that they watched how well the Roswell storyline of UFOs worked. And after that, when they were working on spy planes and the SR-71 and the stealth bombers, they were like, tell them it's aliens. That worked way better with Roswell than our weather balloon thing.
Okay.
I do think that that's what happened.
Yeah, it was UFOs, man. Aliens.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. It's aliens. But like, it wasn't the UFO. It wasn't the Army saying that. It was them like leaking out stories.
Sure.
And I think that's what's still happening today with Tom DeLonge.
Okay.
And anyways, I guess I want a last little tidbit. There was a group, allegedly by the story. There's a group that was put together by the Army to cover this up. But the name of it is Majestic 12. And which is pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Also what Jesus called the disciples.
Hey, Majestic 12, it's time for us to do some ministry.
It is time for one of you to betray me.
I saw it.
Wouldn't that be crazy? If it was like held like a survivor tribal council. The Last Supper was actually just him being like, everyone write down a name.
Everybody bring out your torches. I saw a tweet the other day and it said, Easter's coming along and I'm going to...
Coming along.
this year I'm going to celebrate Easter by betraying one of you.
That's crazy.
No, but Majestic 12, this
3 times too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing it. No, the Majestic 12 became this big bad villain for the UFO conspiracy throughout the latter 20th century, and at the end of what I would call, and I don't know if this is right, but we did the episode on Tom DeLonge recently, and I would say in their like their first big studio release that like got massive. They have a song called Aliens Exist. The last line of that is 12 Majestic Lies. And I think he says 12 Majestic because it probably flows better than Majestic 12. And I do think that this whole thing is the thing that tricked him and ruined my favorite band. So whatever.
Wow.
Anyways, that's the Roswell incident. I think I believe the idea that it's the balloon array.
Sure.
And I do think that this is the thing that made the Army think.
I think that the idea that they would lie about aliens, it makes it seem like they're intentional enough or organized enough to do that kind of thing. You know?
I don't think. Look, if we're talking the huge.
I'm
huge
saying like.
whole,
Yeah. I think that obviously, like, the newspaper runs a thing. People in town believe this stuff. Of course, that's a lie that gets out of hand, right?
Yeah.
But the idea that the government, some shadowy figure, can just be like, let's tell them it's aliens and create this alien story.
Here's what I think.
That assigns. That's a phrase I love lately. Is the don't assign genius to incompetence.
I do think yes, that is true, but I think in the same side, you see a lot of people when arguing about the fact that this original story is the true story, they talk about Jesse Marcel and how he was a part of this elite division of the Air Force that had access to the most powerful weapons we've ever created.
Sure.
And so he had like top security clearance. And so the argument that's made a lot is kind of like this argument from authority that because he had this top security clearance, he would know about everything.
Right.
But it's like, just because you have top security clearance, like you understand about the stuff that they let you understand about.
Right.
I do think like the people in the military, when I say that there are people who are like, let's use this
like,
alien
just
story,
because if you work at a hotel, you have a key to every room, but that doesn't mean you've gone in every room or know every room's deepest,
Get secrets.
You don't know every detail of every room.
Secrets. Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But you might know a couple of these rooms pretty well.
But I think it's also...
I'm a 325 guy myself.
To be more like...
I know that room.
To use that analogy, I think it'd be more like if you worked at a hotel and everybody who worked at the hotel got all the keys to one floor. And it's like, you have a master key to this floor, but you don't have any access to the other floors. Because I think that's the way that these work, is they're very segmented.
That's
you
true.
get
That's
your
true.
sphere of
That's
influence
true.
that you get to understand. You don't get to know everything.
That's true.
And I think that there are influential
in
people.
that Obama interview when he was like, what was the first thing you asked? Like, because I was like, that is who did that interview? Do you remember who interviewed him?
I don't remember.
Where it was like, that's what I would do if I became president. I would swear in. I would walk off that stage and immediately go, tell me about the moon landing. Tell me about aliens.
But I think that's the thing, is I think there's even stuff that.
And then Obama was like, yeah, aliens are real, and everyone was like, oh my gosh,
I think it's like these elite generals,
Sure.
and maybe even it's one individual that's just like, we need to create this press. I think it's a small group of people who are that need to know clearance for that specific project that are like, this is a better storyline to tell. Or maybe there's a sphere in there this is the propaganda division. The 508 is the propaganda group.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they're like, listen, we've got all these microphones all across the country. And it's just to pick up in case anybody anywhere is fiddling off the devil right now. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you liked it and you want more of it, there's another episode we did called Project Bluebeam, which I believe is the one that we mentioned that in. Yeah. So you need to go listen to it and tell me if I was right or wrong.
Come back here and say yes or no.
No context. Just yes or no. That would help. That was actually a really funny episode. I remember that one. So if you want next week's episode, right now, you can follow us on Patreon. So go join us over there, and that's a good way to help grow the show. It helps fund it. And so we really enjoy it. So we'll see you next week. And and also share this stuff on social media. Find us on social. And it really helps us to grow the show.
And go to jaredmyers.com/shows.
Or paulruddtheactor.com. So, all right, we'll see you next week.